Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
Or good morning.
The
Well-
2 hour rock block quickly approaches. I hear there's some Brendan Smalls love in the chat, and I appreciate that because the man is hilarious, always has been.
Did he have anything of notoriety pre home movies? Or was
I
it that
wouldn't
really
call
was?
home movies notoriety. I would call Metalocalypse notoriety. I think that was his first hit, right? But all the what do you call it? All the hipsters know about home movies
Oh, such hipster.
because it was good stuff too. You know,
It was.
It
and
was.
it's hilarious that he made it into his own band, and he had Corpse Grinder sing for him, and they go on actual concerts and stuff. Just super sick. I like that. Oh, there was a name for it. When you have an IP and it goes beyond its original medium, and you kind of bombard it with a bunch of different ones. So, like, for instance, with the Matrix, you had like the Animatrix, you had games, you had like comic books where you like expanded everything. It's hugely selling out, but they called it something nicer, you know? Can't remember, there's a term for it, and it escapes me.
Diversifying, perhaps, or
No.
extending your
There's like
brand reach, or
there's some advertisement corporate speak about it. But I like when people do that, except also in real life. It makes it much more interesting.
all right.
Are we good? Are we ready to get the show on the road?
I got to do the giveaway announcement real quick, and then we're good to go.
Oh, sure.
Start collecting winner.
Now, Heywoah, my darling, said hello.
It's Heywoah.
He thought she would be able to be up so that she could say, hi, it's the Heywoah.
It's the Heywoah.
I think the first time she actually saw him, because usually I'd have like the choosing your army videos on. He had a shirt on that said, hi, I'm Heywoah. And that has just stuck with her.
All right. So the winner of the start collecting box of choice is Dusk.
Congratulations.
Well, man, you know, you get a new army. It's a new dawn.
This is the Heywoah wit you signed up for. So congratulations, Dusk. That's a start collecting box provided by the Pants Mafia. Go ahead and send me Choose Beast Claw Raiders. Choose Beast Claw. Like that's like the it's Pikachu
That's an
meme.
economical choice. You get 3 start collectings, and you have yourself a bona fide, arguably competitive army. And it's probably the cheapest functional army you can make for the fewest amount of things to even buy. You don't even need to buy a mod pod, really. It's $40, but you know, it doesn't really do anything. So if you want to keep your cost down, it's just a solid choice.
You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
No.
But
for the longest time, that was just a meme. Is just go buy some
Yeah, it
start
was a
collecting.
meme. Yeah, quite right. For the longest time, it was like, just buy 3 start collectings and you have yourself an army. And then the subtext was a terrible army. Who's laughing now?
Glad they turned that around.
Real quick, we got $5 donations from Aaron ? Kicker, looking forward to the memes. Just Gut, thank you. Piotr, thank you. $5 from each. Thank you so much. Make the mop pot do anything. I like your.
Is calling me.
All right. Well, more Tark block is that'll wrap it. We got the giveaway. We got Heywoah now.
I get it. We gotta go.
Yeah.
You guys have fun.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having us.
If you're allowed to
Love you
sleep,
all.
do that. It's fine. Thanks for being on. And
Bye, live chat.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Seriously, dear Mortarks, thank you so very much for supporting me through Patreon and always being an active voice in chat. I can't do this sort of thing without like that support and that ability to like absorb shipping costs and things like that. Like that's so. I mean, it sucks that it takes money to do giveaways and things like that. Like even charity ain't free, right? Like so thank you so much for doing that and supporting me and so on and so forth. So and supporting the amazing cause that's always been kind of central to what I do. So I'm a little heavied out. Aw shit, it's showtime, says Rocco, ya boy. All right, man, how's it going?
Pretty good. Ready to take over whenever you are.
You're looking trim, dude. Did you manicure and as in man a cure like?
Yeah. So COVID started, and like a responsible, mature adult, I'm not get a haircut, right? Just to be on the safe and responsible side, And I'm like, I can take like a month or two, and not get a haircut or anything like that. People wear masks, and whatever. And then they just didn't, and so now it's 5 years later, I think, and we still have it. And I was starting to look like Alan Moore at the beginning of Transmetropolitan,
Yeah, just
really starting to look like that.
yeah.
And I'm like, all right, it's time. I really have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did. They got one of those haircut places where they only let 2 people in, and there's like everybody's got masks on and stuff. So it's fine. I try to be germ safe normally in my life, and so here it's just extra.
Yeah, I had to do a haircut at one point, and so like went to the one place where they like allowed, I think it was 3 people was the capacity. Like I had to wear my mask the whole time. They wore their masks and they had like surgical gloves. There was things they couldn't do, like they weren't allowed to dust me off, like the hair. Like so, like the normal, like if you have like they'd like hit you with a towel and like get the hair off. They weren't
Yeah,
allowed
but
to do that.
that's unnecessary. You can just stand up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I break from the norm here, and I don't understand the complaints. To be perfectly honest, I guess I don't know. I'm becoming more and more like a monotone Bill Burr in my old age, because I don't get what everyone's so up in arms about. I like the mask meta.
Yeah, good meta.
You walk around with a mask, and nobody fucking talks to you. They don't bother you. That is priceless. I love that. I wish we could always wear masks so no one would ever talk to me in the real world. Like, I don't know what everyone's so upset about. I really don't.
We got first off, Joanna says, the 2 people who introduced me to AOS. This is good. Thank you. Awesome.
Thanks, Stir, for the $5.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Heywoah's the one who introduced me to Age of Sigmar, actually, believe it or not.
Thanks, Hotspur, for the $5.
Look at you. You're already taken over. I got...
I kind of have to look at the screen because I'm not getting the sounds or anything, but it turns out
I turned off the sound.
Animal eyes, as we have evolved, are good at finding movement, and so I can see it out of the corner.
Yeah.
Out of my peripheral.
AOS coach donated $20, said, "Don't fall asleep and make me do all the work." Sir, I brought you on for that express purpose.
Yeah, in 2 hours, AOS coach will be here, so you're gonna get some Australian flair.
Yeah, we got Kyle, make Stonehorn great again. Thanks for the $5. Mafia Gold, and we got Heywoah to boot. Hotspur, thank you for your donation. Heywoah, choosing armies videos are just some of the best out there. Great to hobby too, says Stir3393.
Thanks. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm not actually getting the messages. That might be a problem, but that's all right. Thanks, W. Soren. Saw you on the show. Thanks for being a fan and a supporter.
I believe you can
Always a
see.
pleasure.
It might be on a delay, but I believe on Tiltify, you can actually see the.
Oh, can I get a live feed? Oh shit.
If you go to Tiltify, view campaign, I believe it's saying the messages on the bottom of Tiltify. Yeah. So on the bottom of Tiltify itself, for those of you.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yep.
It just doesn't update right away. That's all. Got it.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit. So, and it's like.
Cool. So I can check that when I get a thing. Nice. Yeah. Are you taking a break then?
I mean, I'm gonna take a walk and you know, stretch out a little bit.
All right, cool.
All right, dude.
Let me go full screen. So drop out and then come back in for the split screen.
That will be the best way to do that. Because if I drop you entirely, then then there's no video feed of you at all. This is the easiest way.
Sounds good. All right, Chatty's gone. We can do whatever we want. Including change it to voice activated, so I don't have to press the damn button. All right. All right, Chad, look at me. I'm the captain now. Welcome to the Heywoah 2-hour block. Let me just move over to screen share here, quick. Did that work? Waiting for it to update. Did it work, chat? Tell me. There's a stream delay, so you must simply wait. All right, Drew Peterson, thanks for the $5. Appreciate it very much. Drew says, oh, okay, I'm seeing it now. Drew says 4 Frostlord meta, sweet. Did what work? It didn't work. Oh, that's terrible. Damn, I was gonna screen share. This is very unfortunate. Well, okay, I'm gonna stop streaming then. And it's probably gonna kick it back to a 2. All right. Well, anyway, chat, I had an awesome thing planned and the screen share doesn't work, so I apologize. We were going to make memes. And maybe Meph will come back from his walk in like an hour and we'll... Yeah, it needs to be Meph that clicks it. Oh, well. So anyway, instead of making memes... Yeah, it said watch stream. Mm-hmm. Yeah, technical difficulties. What are you going to do? Oh, yeah, speaking of... what's the milestone we're working on? Because right now we're at 5271, which is pretty big. The milestone we're currently working on is 55 for Muppets Evolved One Shot with Soulbound Crew. What are you doing bullying Meph like this? What is this Muppets shit? Okay, I'm sure it's all very funny. A Muppet one shot with the Soulbound Crew. Oh, so I've been roped into this now. Well, good work. Good one. You did it. And then 6K is Display Board by Adam Trunza. Ooh, that's a nice one. I like that one as well. So you have a temporary and you have a permanent. That's pretty nice. All right, anyway. So instead of making a bunch of memes, we're going to make a faction. Because if you noticed in my tweet, I said we're going to make memes or a new faction or whatever, right? And so besides the council is developing more stretch goals. Oh, Meph, hey. Can we screen share? Good Coffee Joey, thanks for the $5.
Patiently waiting for the Skaven list show, says Mega. Yo, I'm going to be honest. I had the Skaven list show actually done, and then they got rid of all realm artifacts. And I became very sad because not only did I have to redo the Skaven list show, but all of the other list shows that I did are basically useless now. Well, not basically useless, but largely invalidated immediately. That was out of left field. I was simply not planning on them deleting every realm artifact and thereby removing a bunch of actually really interesting builds and stuff you can do.
You should be able to hit there's a screen share button at the bottom of.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
So if you do that, then you'll.
But it doesn't show it on the stream because you're the one like.
Vince
doing
shared
stuff.
his.
Yeah, but you were here,
Oh.
and so you could like click on it, right?
Yeah. So do the thing, and then I can help you out.
All right. Cool.
I've got the app on my phone while I'm.
Yeah, we're only gonna make memes for a little while.
Okay.
But.
There. Is that good? Good. Good. I assume. This is the show within the show.
Yeah.
All
All right. Anyway, so it's meme time. Fuck that other shit. Did we have a message with that last one? Good Coffee Joey said we have surpassed Nagash. This will be the donation that surpasses Nagash. Excellent. So as you guys know, a little while ago, I was on Warhammer Weekly with Rob, Tom, and Vince, and we were talking about the General's Handbook, and Rob decided to be on the show in front of a green screen. And this is just like, this isn't okay, right? This is gold. He even mentions it. I don't know if you can hear the sound, but
You're too generous, but what made you think it was a good idea to sit in front of a That's fine, but I'm just saying it's a mistake on
it is a mistake on his show. And so all you have to do now is find the perfect screenshot somewhere in this video. Like, where's a real good time when we can find Rob in a hilarious predicament, you know. Now the quality is awful because, you know, apparently Vince isn't like a 4K podcaster, right? So the quality is going to be bad. What can you do? But a lot of times with memes, the badness adds to the hilarity. So we can work with that. You know, we can find a particular screenshot, the perfect captured moment. And here's one. Here's the one I found. We got a good reaction image. And also you have over here, we got Vince, and he is very disapproving, you know, in his stare over there. That's good. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Oh, that's too much. That's too much. There we go. So you got a good Vince reaction here. He is disapproving about whatever is happening. So there's a few ways of getting rid of a background from an image. And this is going to be a little bit of a Photoshop tutorial. Crematorium meme time. Well, that's a good background, but there was another one they brought up specifically before. So what you can do it the high school student way, right? Where you just go, you know, magic wand tool, you screw with the tolerance a little bit, maybe you feather it, hold down shift so that you can add to it, or hold down alt and you can subtract from it. You can choose different things. You can kind of clean up these lines a little bit. You know, you can draw little things there. And then like you can delete that. And it's like halfway decent. And it took me what was that? Perhaps 5 seconds, you know? And that's a pretty quick way of doing it. Also, if you want, you can use masks, which I'll talk about later. But this is like not bad. It's fine. The other way you can do it is by clicking on this layer. You get a little mask tool down here. Click that, and then you can paint. You can actually use paint as long as you're using black, and you can paint away what's here. And you can change the opacity of it. You can, reduce choose different brushes and everything, and you can kind of paint it away and see how it's kind of eating into Rob's face here. It's actually kind of okay because of what you're going to see in the background. It actually like helps it blend a little bit better. So you can really do it either of those ways. There's another way you can do it if you don't want to use masks, although you really should learn masks. And that's select, and you can select for a color range. And you'll start with a decent one over here with the eyedropper. You can go eyedropper plus to kind of improve the quality of it. Depending on how good the lighting is in front of the green screen, you're going to get a sharper matte around the edge. Oh, somebody just donated. Dr. Martin, thanks for the $5. Did you have a little message here? No, you did not. All right. Hey, thanks for the support. So anyway, you can do that, and it basically selects everything as if we were using the magic wand tool. Except it's like slightly a little worse. Sometimes it's a little better. It just really depends on how good the background of your green screen is, and you can increase or decrease the fuzziness. As you can see, there's a little selector image there where you can like kind of move it down. We'll go to 94, and then we got his mic a little bit better there. And so there you go. So we can delete the background. That's nice and easy. But what are we going to put in the background? I know. How about a Tory rally for Leave Means Leave? So we'll just put that over here. It's just about the right size. We'll take in the background, maybe move it over a little bit. And then there you go. That's funny, right? Like, you can really put anything you want in the background, and you can even blur it up pretty good if you want. Notice how it's bright out here, and it's kind of room tones on Rob here. It's very yellow, and then outside is a little more blue because that's how it works. So the sunlight, as you might not know, is actually blue on the color temperature scale, and lights inside tend to be on the yellow of that scale. So what we can do is we can select the first layer and kind of lighten it up a little bit. Maybe we can go to image adjustments, do some color balance if you want, We can tilt it. We can tilt it a little bit more blue. Or we can go in the background and make that one a little bit more yellow. It's really whichever one you want to match to the other. It makes it, whichever one is easier to do really, because you're just making a meme. It can even be shittier than this. Like this could be done, right? Because remember, I'm zoomed in, like the meme is actually like this size. This is like pretty good, But it depends on how much work you want to put into a meme, right? Or you can do the laziest way, which is maybe not the laziest way, but who knows? We'll select Vince here. We'll also select out this area down here. We'll copy that and paste it to make it a new layer, and then from this one, and we'll just delete that out of the background here. So you can't really tell the difference here, but here's what I've done. I've saved Vince and the rumor engine from what I'm about to get changed. Yeah, he's a lefty, so this is this is a good one. So then we select these two layers and we can link them. Copy that, make a new thing to further protect him, because Vince must be protected, right? Like he's a gem. So then we flatten the image so that everything's the same and there's no more layers anymore. And we can go to render lighting effects. And then you can kind of affect everything with a decent amount of different like lighting filters and stuff. I tend to like, just personally, everybody's got their own thing. I like my 2 o'clock spotlights. I just do. You got to move them around a little bit to kind of make things work out right. But I just like them. I'm a fan, and you can move them around, and it actually kind of affects what's going on there. So now so this kind of makes the background a little more yellow. He's probably too yellow. We could go in there and fix him a little first if we really wanted, but this is a quick tutorial. I didn't want to take any more than probably 15 minutes, and we're already at 2:28. So now look what I've done. Vince is all ruined here, but that's why we saved him over here. And we just have to bring him back. And there you go. And if you look down here, because sometimes you have to be careful about this, see down here where we have the little monitors. Now, if you're looking down here, we should either take a screen cap of this whole image and shrink it down and then put it into that square, right? Or we can do the really lazy but also 200 IQ plan of just copy everything else. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to deselect a layer here. So we flatten image again, and we'll just select everything, create a new one, and then... Oh, wait, not select everything, pardon me. So we select everything but that, make a new one, and then there you go. Same thing. So there you go. It's 2:30. That's, I think, exactly 15 minutes. And we made a little meme. Rob was joking on his show that someone would put Tories in the background, and that's why we've done this. So, all right. Meme tutorial is over. Sean B with the $5. Thanks a lot. Let's check out what's going on here. Get the full sleeve Nagash Death GA tattoo. When we hit 10K, we will crowdfund it. Chat with the bullying again. I'm not against it. I'm not against this bullying. Also, what we could do is make a faction. Oh, let's make Vince even more buff. So I made a meme image for one of my videos where this guy here, this dude, right? I can't remember what this guy's name was. The Corn Demon Chad, with the hilarious muscles and everything, when we put like 7 artifacts and traits and abilities on him. And so let's make Vince really buff by liquefy. And so what you can do with the liquefy tool is we'll go over here, and you can use the brackets to increase or decrease the size of your little brush here. And you can kind of see how it kind of like expands, right? Arms and stuff, like makes things look more muscular, right? Now, you can do it a little bit, or you can do it way too much, and doing it way too much is way better for memes, like 100%, Like, you want it to be obvious that you've kind of edited it, because that's even more funny, right? And also, by the way, you want to actually reduce as well. You want to reduce other stuff, like waist size, because it accentuates how ridiculous things are going to be, right? You want to accentuate. And so one of the ways to make it is you can make heads and stuff even. His head is an unfortunate shape for this one, right? But so anyway, point is, typically when you make someone's head like very small, it adds to the memes. Anyway, I'm canceling this before I get meth stream banned. Anyway, so that's our meme tutorial for the evening. How to make people huge, and how to select away from green screens and make memes out of it, either with the mask or with select color range, or the high school method of simply magic wand and then digging around with shift or alt to add or subtract from with the lasso tool. Or if you hold down and go to the polygonal lasso tool, you can make polygons, which is very useful when you're trying to make squares, because squares are just pretty difficult to do, perfectly with a mouse. There's also the magic wand tool, which kind of sort of adheres to, differences of contrast or color, but it actually like pretty much completely sucks unless you, unless you lit and set up the shot such that it's like perfect and really, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who would ever use a magnetic lasso tool unless you had to do it in like 2 seconds instead of 4 seconds, but it's just going to look much better. Tory propaganda. This isn't propaganda. We're kind of memeing on them. Anyway, so yeah, that's the meme tutorial for this evening. And oh dear, are we at, all right, 5286. Only $213 or so away from the next big goal, which is the Muppet Show. Oh man. Removing the green reflection from the shirt. Yeah, you know what? Like green color spill and bleed and reflections is something you normally shouldn't. I was going to say you normally don't have to deal with it, but I have to deal with it all the time. You normally shouldn't have to deal with it if they've shot the thing correctly. This is pulled off of a fuzzy YouTube, so it's just going to be rough, and you'd have to spend more time really than it's worth to mostly get rid of it. I mean, you're going to be using, like notice how there's this green tinge around him, we can get rid of that, but I think the rule for memes is you can't spend any more than probably 5 minutes making them, or 15 minutes if you're explaining every step, but yeah, there are ways to get rid of it. We could also do something where, you can try to hide these things with the clone stamp tool. Clone stamp tool is super useful if you want to make absolutely hideous creations that'll just keep copying things, right? And you can, of course, make this big or small, so we can copy Vince's head and put it all over the place, See how it lines up pretty much with what you've done, so you can keep pulling from the same area and really just make some interesting stuff. We can also apply our liquefy that we've learned to make Vince's head really huge or this head really small, right? Anyway, so there's some tools of the trade for basic Photoshop foolery. And on to the second part of it. The green tinges is anti-pore stance. Yeah, the green tinge is from all the money. The more money you have, the less you care about the poor or anything like that. Yeah, that's quite true. I'm gonna stop streaming and see if it puts, either this is gonna put me back into the normal mode, or I'm gonna be split screen and we're just gonna have to deal with it. One of the two. Oh dear, it's worse. I'm extremely tiny. I'm gonna have to call him or something. This is horrible. Maybe I should start the stream again. Right? Yeah. If I start the stream again, is this fixed? The questions you go through. Oh, cool. Anyway. He fixed it. Chat, it's fixed. We did it. All right, good. Yeah, this is proper. Anyway, so that's that. Next up, poor Nathan. All right, we're back. We're back to live view. So next up, as I take a sip of my V8 juice here, because it is 2:38 a.m., you got to stay hydrated. Let's make a new faction. I call this section Chat Makes a Faction. And the only stipulations are, I feel like I want to direct at least the beginning of this in a direction. And so it'll be Grand Alliance Destruction, because Destruction has, what, 3 armies total at the moment? And so they're, they need it, right? And what is there in Destruction that we could build off of that's like AOS-y, right? Like it's brand new. Think about the new, and I mean like things made exactly for Age of Sigmar. I don't mean the first round of things, which were like Fire Slayers, where it was sort of like an idea kind of based on one model, or like Iron Jaws, and then they just kind of made it into an whole army. I want to make something fresh, something AOS, so it has to be like kind of stupidly big, in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. But it shouldn't have anything to do with orcs. We got plenty of orcs. And it shouldn't have anything to do with ogres. We got plenty of ogres. Nor, gits or goblins or giants or any of that stuff, or trogs. We got all that stuff. We're talking new. Oh, thanks for the $20. Who was that? That was Omega Nosh. Nice dude. Thanks for the $20. Memes equals great for my mental health. Memes can be therapeutic for your mental health. Depending on the type of meme. They could be really bad for it. Really, honestly, it depends. We're making mostly wholesome-ish memes, I guess. I don't know if I could properly claim that or not. Giants don't exist, Heywoah. Well, I mean, they probably would have by now. But we'll just wait for the next announcement, which I'm sure will just be, look at this most recently painted army article. But I've been surprised in a good way before. Although not recently. So anyway, Destruction Faction. I'm going to look at chat now. We got... Ooh, you know what? I don't want to have missed any, as people were... Destruction Elves. We do have a lot of elves, but I'd like to... So, Rocco, here's the thing. Destruction Elves are IDONTMIND. IDONTMIND are simply in the wrong Grand Alliance. And that's a shame. They should have always been a Destruction faction, in my opinion. It just so happens that their god is technically techless, but I don't know that they like really worship him. I think it's more of a deadbeat dad kind of situation. So I don't know. Destruction insects. There haven't been insects. There have been arachnids, but there haven't been insects. Sharks is a good one, but IDK kind of covers that. Wild Hunt to 11. Sharkman. Another Sharkman. Big angry Sharkman. Okay, sharks are popular. Destruction has as many death buds, pieces souped in each book, being 2 or 3. Yeah, it's true. Elementals. God Beasts, aka the faction, Terrain faction. I mean, God Beasts already kind of exist in the lore. They're unbelievably huge. It's possible they're stepping on Gargant's toes a little bit, but the theme is so different, we could work with it. Goblins that take LSD instead of eating mushrooms. We could go for different drug types, I suppose. Massive worms like from Dune. Oh, or like that Forge World, model with the kind of cool rules, at least way back when people were considering ever playing that thing. +1 for God Beasts. Big fan of Elementals. Mushroom People. I like Mushroom People, but that's just so clearly a Gloomspite expansion, you know what I mean? More Destruction Elementals. An army of aliens from the Bad Moon. That's an expansion. Bugs. Vampire Elves from Ulgu. I mean, Death should just already have vampires. Technically they do, but they should have new vampires. They should have had new vampires 2 years ago. I don't want to take that from them. They should have classic ass vampires with enough of an AOS twist to make them crazy. Have you heard of gnolls from D&D? I have heard of gnolls from D&D. The hyena biped furry creatures, yeah. You could have an army of gnolls from D&D led by Whoopi Goldberg from The Lion King. I don't know. It has promise. It has promise. That's not knocking her. She was a voice actor for one of the hyenas. For the Zoomers in the chat who haven't watched the original Lion King. Anyway, what about Winter Ogres? Oh yeah, that'd be cool. The thing about Winter Ogres, if they ever made them, they should definitely remain their own faction, though, instead of get souped in with another book that they only finished half of before they shipped it out. Tyrion is technically the actual god of Hysh, and he's the one who saved the Idoneth. He did save the Idoneth, but then he had to go get some cigarettes, and he never came back. Bird-like guys, I hate birds. And so this is just on me, but I'm not doing a bird faction. It's not a bad idea. A bird faction like Arakara or something from D&D might actually be like a decent idea. I just hate birds. But I'm upfront about my prejudices against the avian races. You used to be dinosaurs and you evolved into birds. You fucked up. What about the blob, like the 80s remake Acid Blobs? I don't know that blobs would be terrific models, right? I mean, actually, they could be if you go like night hunt with them and have them squiggling around and stuff. Yeah, it's got promise. I'm concerned about slimes. I don't know how much of the Japanese audience we want to bring into it, or maybe you're down with that. That's pretty open-minded. Lycanthropes is a good one. I like lycanthropes, but a lot of what makes a good lycanthrope story is the duality of man and beast. And so I feel like they kind of have to be order, right? So that the people are the good part but they turn into these beasts, and that's the struggle. And you could turn it on its head and have like werewolves where the people are terrible, but the werewolves are like honorable and in tune with nature and spiritual shamans and stuff, and they're just really good. And flip it on its head a little bit. Maybe it's a lazy inversion. I'm gonna say gold faction. No, I don't think AOS is ready for a gold faction. They tried it with mercenaries, which ended up being a scam to scam people into buying models that they knew they were going to retire a year later. And so I don't have much hope for a gold faction, to be quite honest. Yeah, a skin wolf kind of thing. Yeah, I agree. Dragonborn. Yeah. I'm going to say god beasts, man. I'm thinking god beasts. We can pull in a bunch of these different ideas, though. So there are a bunch of legit canon god beasts. But most of them either got kind of mind controlled and then sort of killed, or punched out by Gorka Morka when he was upset during the time of myth. I almost said time of troubles. This isn't Forgotten Realms. We can make up new ones. It's AOS. You can make up whatever you want. What if we had god beasts and then like their worshippers and stuff? So there's still like an army. It's just you kind of have to. The whole thing's built around having this 500, 600 point centerpiece, and then all their normal worshippers and stuff. And we could take in the native like shaman stuff. We can take in the elemental stuff, and we can take in possibly even the skinwolf stuff, but then also have this huge god beast or two. Yeah, spirits of the god beast or vassals of the god beasts. Some synonym for priest, or shaman of the god beast, something like that. I think there was a donation, yes. Jacob Barry, thanks for the $5. Appreciate it. Just making a new faction here, no big deal. So I'm writing it up in a little text file we got here. Don't forget, we got those dudes from Warcry, aren't they? Destruction. They would probably be God Beast followers. Oh yeah, those guys could come into the fold. Sorry, Underworlds. No, that's fine. Oh yeah, it is Underworlds. So let's start off with something of the God Beasts. Let's make it interesting. We'll have 2 God Beasts in the book, and these are 600 point actual God, not Alarial God, but like real God, big boy, gods with war scrolls that do anything, you know? And each of the god beasts will be very different from each other. And yeah, I'm thinking sub-factions for those would be like, you have a sub-faction where you actually play both of them on the table, and it's like 1,200 points, and then you build your army. And there's a sub-faction for God Beast A, and a sub-faction for God Beast B, where you play only one of them and kind of have a theme going. And then there's a fourth sub-faction for not playing either of them, because you have to respect low-point games. But nobody takes that one because it sucks and you want to play with your big guys, right? Yeah, and Druid Shaman types as leaders. What kind of real-world shamanistic, primitive, well, I shouldn't say primitive, but, you know, polydeific sort of stuff can we pull in? Because we can't do Aztec or Mayan, because Seraphon pulls that in. Can't do Tibet, really, because that's Luminath for the most part. We could bring in Hindu. I don't know that Hindu's gods are like, you know, ready to smash castles and shit. They're mostly like, I shouldn't say wise. It's kind of a characterization. And a lot of them have dual forms and stuff like that, but they're very human sized, at least. But that's fine. We can take inspiration from it. We're not copying. We're copying someone's homework, but we're changing it enough so that they can't tell the difference, except for real instead of like the meme, you know. Caribbean voodoo. Oh, I want actual voodoo zombies and stuff, but that's probably for a different army, you know what I mean? That's a real good idea, though. Imagine Caribbean voodoo and Dios Muertos, like painted skull face, you know, death masks, Day of the Dead kind of thing. So you have a little bit of Mexico, a little bit of Caribbean in there, and it's like a death faction, and that's the super AOSified, you know, vampire faction. That would be super cool. That's a different army, but that's a really cool idea. And then you can get some tentacle stuff going on too. Oh, baby. Yeah. Day of the Dead, voodoo zombies with Caribbean stuff. That'd be sick. And they're vampires somehow. I think the world is ready for an 8-armed model, you know? Vishnu or something. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, you know what? That's one of the god beasts. One of the god beasts, God Beast A, is Hindu inspired. Do we want to mix anything with it? Are we shaking anything up in this paint can? So it's got 6 arms, or 8, whatever. Shiva. Yeah, Shiva's good too. So God Beast A is female and or feminine because it's a god, so who knows, right? It's Hindu inspired, but what kind of animal or creature kind of thing are we mixing this with? Samoan, that's a good idea too. Samoan to me feels crocodilian, right? Have I seen Asura's Wrath? Probably, but I can't remember much from it. Was Akuma in that? Or am I mixing up my old video game stuff? Octopus? Well, now we're just making Ursula. Kinda. Got a John Carpenter's vampire style army. Nice. Yeah, I know Asura's Wrath is a game. I thought Akuma was in that, or maybe I'm mistaking it for a different game. So God Beast A is the more human God Beast, and God Beast B is the more beast or creaturely one. Can we have a dragon? It's time to have a dragon in Age of Sigmar, right? Stardrakes don't count. They retired the Order dragons for the most part, except for Sorceress on Black Dragon and Dreadlord on Black Dragon. And, you know, I think there's a crossover in it. Oh, okay. It's time for, dude, it's time for dragons in Age of Sigmar, you know what I mean? It is a god beast. There are god beast dragons, although one was enslaved by Archaon, and then I think it died. Anyway, Ignax, right? So God Beast A is feminine, Hindu inspired. God Beast B is masculine, because these God Beasts are kind of, they're you know, we're trying to draw distinctions between the two for the most part. And finally, a dragon. Dreadlord is cool. I wish his stats were a little cooler, but he's a badass. I mean, it's a dark elf on a black dragon. What do you want from me? It's just cool. And Dracodian, yeah. Cornforge World model, the rider is technically on a god beast. Oh yeah, that's true. I can only remember his names. What is it? Skargarath, the something, riding the something something something. It's got like 7 names. These probably won't be that big, but maybe they should be. I don't know. What about the people? So we have a draconic side, and we have a feminine Hindu side. But what's the Hindu animal, or what's the? Because it has to be otherworldly, you know. Let me see if anybody recommended something for that side. New crab claw rumor. It could be octopus, like Ursula. Scallock, that's it. That's the dragon. For whatever reason in my head, I can't remember their names, but like the name in my head is Skargarath the Unscarred riding Scallock the Scarred, even though that's not their name. Elephant? Well, now we're getting too much. We're getting too much Vishnu. I think that's too obvious. Croc people? I think crocs are too close to Dracon or to dragons, you know. We could bring in like you know, nine-tailed fox stuff. We could bring in various felines if you want that. That seems to be the obvious choice, right? You go with like, you know, leopard or tiger or something like that. It might be the obvious choice, but sometimes the obvious choice is okay. Let's go tiger just to keep things moving along. And I don't know, kitsune and stuff like that feel too small. Some sort of ape, a big silverback. Oh. Deer fox cat. Oh yeah, you know what a good inspiration probably is, like Princess Mononoke or something like that, where you have gigantic, you know, forest creatures that sort of symbolize the ultimate form of whatever. But let's go with tiger just to keep things moving along. So we have giant, like 6-armed female Hindu tiger god, and we have masculine straight up dragon god beast. They are meant to be zodiac based. That is true. And we can't choose rat. We've accidentally arrived at the tattoos on each arm of what's his name from Kung Fu, the legend from Kung Fu. What's David Carradine's name in that? Any boomers in the chat? Where he's like this monk who wanders around, and he's got like one arm that has like a bunch of dragons and stuff on it, and the other arm has a bunch of tigers, and he like he lifts this really hot maw pot up, and he's like, "Oh, this is really hard," and people shoot him, and he's fine. I don't know. I can't remember much from it. Kane, or is it Japanese and it's Kane? Oh, one of the two. So what kind of unit choices do these people have? The idea for the army is you're supposed to build it with almost half of the army is some, gigantic, unique character. And then the other half is sort of a mini, like a 1K army, attached to it, except normally you have to do that because that's just how the points work out. So, like, consider Archaon lists or Nagash lists, stuff like that. Khajiit are cool, too. Oh, we could bring in, like, Rakshasa and stuff. We could toss in some Middle Eastern. That'd be sick, actually. Like, the more powerful they are, the more, like, attributes and traits they gain from their god beast. So, like, the leaders are these, like, super red and white, cunning tiger people. And then the smaller ones just have, like, claws or something like that. Turtles, yeah. How about turtles? Yeah, there's gonna be tons of god beast imagery and stuff, no doubt. Yeah, Ninja Turtles. Yeah, that's a good one. So the heroes for these armies, but these armies are, like, designed to do that. So back to my point about Archaon lists and Nagash lists and stuff like that, is you're sort of building an army that you're kind of not supposed to, because heroes aren't really supposed to cost like 800 points. It's just too much. So probably the best way to build the other half of the army is as a functional 1K-ish list with some synergies going on there. And then that's what you have to roll with. And it ends up being, for the most part, like a vaguely viable choice, right? G-Dead 909 with the $5. Thanks a lot, dude. Appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the cause. Even though Meph is gone, these names are still added to the drawing at the end. Do not worry. You too will have a chance at the Night Hold or the Night Haunt bundle. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I was drawing a comparison between how people normally have to build lists with unbalanced, super expensive leaders and stuff, but we're designing it from the ground up to be that's the way you're supposed to play, right? And so these are, like, I'm going to pull a number out, 700 points, maybe 800 points. And then the rest of the army is supposed to, like, all of their things kind of work with them. And so that's actually how you're supposed to play. So if you have some, let's do a thought experiment. If you have to make a 1,300 point army that competes with 2K armies, with the understanding that you're going to have this absolutely massive, dump truck with jet engines on it, and that job, the jobs of things that you want in your army, like, you want your battle line, you want your fast unit, you want your power pair, you want something that has range damage if you have something that's good enough to actually choose. You want to work in all the phases. And then there's the I want a dump truck on jet engines, like that's the check mark. Or we're going 3 god beasts instead of 2. Tiger is speed, high damage glass cannon. Dragon is magic and can fly. Gorilla is slow, tanky, but can also hit hard. We could go 3. Here's another thing to think about. Along those lines, along the lines of what Stir is talking about. If you have a if you have these two god beasts and they're kind of not opposites, but exploring very different and often opposite things. Warble subscribed at tier 1. Thanks, dude. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. This is a charity marathon, but you know, thanks for the sub. Good cause and all that. If the dragon god beast is the killer, right? Oh, horrible. Sorry, I'm bad at pronouncing names. If god beast B, which is the dragon, is the, you know, is the distraction Carnifex, the thing that just rolls up and like welcomes you to Pound Town. What if god beast A is the synergy buff, you know, buff wagon one? How strong would your buffs and synergies and things like that have to be worth 700 points and not be able to like fight very well, right? I suppose Nagash kind of answers that question, right? In a way. So maybe this isn't the most like intriguing thought experiment at all. Can you believe we broke 5K? That still floors me. Yeah. Yeah, that's about what I was expecting. Although, to be perfectly fair, whatever number we would have been at when it was my turn to take over the show, I would have said that same thing. So there is that, not taking anything away from it. It's a huge success by any measure, so far even. And we haven't even gotten to Australia block yet. So the dragon has to be the magic one, right? I suppose they could both be spellcasters. There's nothing wrong with that. And you kind of get the feeling that God Beast A, the tiger one, should be priestly. But who is it worshipping? People worship her. What if we play with that idea? What if, you know, so God Beast A's followers, like her heroes and stuff, they're all priests of her, and they pray to her for effects, but, you know, we can play with the mechanics of that in some way. I'll just make a note for it later because it's pointless to get into the rules working minutia of it at this point. You know, you want to start high and kind of zoom in and then have the rules make your ideas work somehow in a clever way. But, you know, the tiger priestly half of the army. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking, William Matthew 53, where, you know, very often in media, like from D&D gods to, you know, honestly, whatever, very often when you're kind of codifying what gods do, they get more power from more worshippers. And sometimes this is like really explicit in what they're talking about. So maybe she gets more powerful the more like priest keyword units you have, or the more prayers that you successfully cast or something like that. We don't have to worry about the exact rules specifically, but just like make a note of it for you know, development later. How many wounds would a god beast have to have if you automatically lose if it dies? That's a great question. Just gut. How many wounds would a god beast have to have for you to automatically lose the game if it dies? I would tie their wounds to the army then. It's a shared wound pool. How interesting would that be? So all the units in the entire army have a shared wounds pool that you can draw from. So like the god beast has, say, 40 wounds. And all the units have like a proper amount of wounds for whatever they would have been. So like the battle line have 1 wound, the elite troops have 2 or 3 wounds, the cavalry has maybe 4 or 5, the heroes have 6, but they're not printed on the war scroll. They just like add to your army's wound pool. And so you can, as your god beast gets damaged, she can subtract from her wounds, or she can like remove models from the table to keep herself at full power and never chart. And her chart would be really interesting, so that you have to decide whether you want to remove models or chart her. And you'd tune it and balance it enough so that it's actually a decision. That could be interesting, right? That could be like an interesting mechanic for this army to have. And also, in that same way, this allows us the excuse of making certain parts of this army really powerful, because nobody can ally any of the shit in because it doesn't have wounds. Or obviously you could still have it be allied, but you just put a note that says in the allegiance abilities, like, this army does not follow the blah 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 or whatever. And like, there's a bunch of different ways you could do it. You'd have to smooth over a bunch of rules interactions, because there are things that swallow whole, there are things that care about the number of wounds a model has. There's all sorts of rules tied to that. So you would have to solve that problem, but we would. That's for the war scroll. That's for later. We're talking. We're going with big ideas here. So that's an interesting one, and also I think that can reasonably reflect the idea that the worshippers are giving them power. Because as you're killing their worshippers, probably they're getting weaker, or they're a selfish. Are you a selfish god? Like, letting your worshippers die so that you maintain your full power. But that's probably always going to be wrong, right? Because you really just want bodies on the table for the most part. I think that's a cool mechanic. So we're going to use that. We're going to go with it because it's cool. It's new, it's exciting, it's interesting. And so both of these god beasts have that effect. And so the god beast A is the priestly one. She's got a bunch of priests. Oh, this is cool. So how about they can get divinity point for a successful worship? Yeah, they'd have some. Are these are not summoning armies, right? Or maybe they are. The support god uses the number of followers alive. The aggressive wrath god uses the number of followers dead. Or, enemy. Is that too much like Blood Tithe though? I wonder. No, I don't think it is too much like Blood Tithe, because it doesn't have to be by the time we're done developing it. So the priestly god, her worshippers are priest, keyword, even the battle line and stuff. We take a page out of Lumineth handbook, and to a lesser degree and an earlier degree Tzeentch and stuff, where even their battle line like counts as a priest as long as yada yada yada. And she gets power from that, but her troops and warriors are really offensive. She's the offensive god. And they're priests and warriors. And then the dragon one is magic, and he's mages. And he's the defensive one, and just wants to overwhelm you with wizardly might. Can we convert people? I want to convert people. I want a hero in this army that wolos you like in Age of Empires, where it doesn't convert anyone to your side necessarily. Like, it's not like old Wrathmongers or anything like that. But maybe we can have some prayer where, an enemy unit counts as one of your worshippers for the purposes of wounds and stuff, so that when you're damaged, it's killing those people because you can take from their wound count. That might be toxic. I don't know. That might be a toxic idea, but I think there's something in there, whether it be using them to fight or counting them as your worshippers just for like whatever table of power you have or something like that, or like they count as your god, you know, something like that. That could be kind of neat. That could be an interesting thing. So they kind of gain the features of the god. So like the basic battle line would just have big claws and stuff, you know, and maybe cattails and stuff. And then the elite ones would be full on, you know, Shira kind of things. Enter cheat code. What? Oh yeah, dude, I remember that cheat code. Yo, okay. The convert would be the summon. You can summon Sylvaneth for the tiger and Fire Slayers for the dragon. Sort of a gold faction. I don't know if these people should summon. If they summon something, it should be... If these people summon something, it should be like an endless spell or terrain or something that's very much from this faction instead of buying some other army's kit, you know? Yeah, I feel like summoning doesn't... This army is so weird and is probably going to have so many crazy mechanics. I just don't want to throw summoning in the mix. It feels like too much, you know? It's going to be hard enough to balance all this other stuff, I think. So what would the cavalry be for an army like this? For the dragon, it's kind of obvious, right? Because you could just have like dragon riders and stuff, like they're children of whatever his name is, children of God Beast B, and they're just young drakes and such. That'd be pretty sick. Or they could be just the dragon and no rider, you know, and they're just small ones. But what about the tiger army? What's her battle line? Or what's her cavalry? Just big tigers? I mean, it's obvious, but sharks was obvious too, and sharks are cool. Kind of goofy sculpt notwithstanding, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. But all right, so we'll just say huge tiger cavalry. I don't think anyone can be like totally against huge tiger cavalry, right? Whether or not there's a rider, right? Battle Cat from He-Man. And then the dragon gets... And the dragon gets like Drake riders, right? Except they're cool instead of Flappy Birds. For the basic battle line on the cat side, you got basically cat girls from anime. And remember, you guys asked for this, but I see through you. I see through what you've really been trying to do. But what about the dragon side of things? What's their basic battle line? Is it just cultists with some features that are different, you know? Draconic or draconic-ish, you know, people, pretty much. Because the basic battle line has to be just straight up humans that are worshiping them, right? So if we have cat girls, you want tentacles, well, you're gonna have to play against Idoneth Deepkin. We can't get too overt. Yeah, you know what? I feel like the basic battle line should actually be shared between both of them, and they're just devoted, you know, ravenous humans that are caught up in the worship of it. And then maybe there's like an elite version, and those are the ones that have the features and stuff. I like that better. So, human cultists. Basic battle line is shared. They're human cultists. And then you have elite battle line, and that's cat girls and dragon people. Nice. And those are like, just 2 wound, super kind of good at everything, but actually horrible, and nobody wants them because they're on big bases and their stats don't nearly make up for not being 40 guys for almost nothing, like Marauders. Except like we're writing the book, so we'll understand that that's a problem and we'll come out ahead of it. So it'll be balanced. Are the human cultists just reskinned flagellants? No, they're probably just reskinned Warcry warbands, with some thought put into it. So we have cavalry, we have battle line, we have elite battle line. It feels like the dragons should be the defensive ones, because they have scales, they're big, like it just kind of makes sense. And yeah, they should have armor, because armor on top of dragon equals cool, right? See you, Minimum Pants. Hey, thanks for the 432 Anonymous. Appreciate it. Thanks for not going for the meme. Is there any ambushing or deep striking or teleporting in this army? In other words, what is our movement shenanigan? Because every army needs one. And if you don't have one, you suck. That's not 100% the case, but I mean, it's really close to the case, Translator's note: great enough shooting can be considered a movement shenanigan, because you're forcing your opponent to do the moving. But I digress. What kind of shenanigan fits these people? Deep striking, well, dragons can come in from the sky, right? So that's easy. That's super easy. For the cat half, that's more of an ambush, right? Because they're coming in from the ground. I suppose each side doesn't need exactly to have its own movement shenanigan, but actually it does, because we are designing these sub-factions to kind of herd you into playing one of the two god beasts, although there will be one where you can play both and mix, because we want to support all styles somebody could possibly want when they're approaching the army. So we got Deep Strike on the dragon side. And maybe the cat people are just really fucking fast, right? Like run and charge with a prayer that doubles their move or something. Like they're just really fast, and that's their shenanigan. Because you think about tigers and stuff, they're pretty quick, right? So that's their shenan. Prayer for run and charge, and or plus X to speed, to movement. So those are the two shenanigans we got. So you got shenanigans in each army. I'm concerned that now that we're listing all this stuff out, right? So just as a recap, because you can't see my screen, God Beast A is feminine, Hero Priest, army-wide wound count, gain features of the god from low to high. We have like huge tiger cavalry. We got a big, tiger Hindu 6-armed god. We got elite battle line cat girls. Cats have a prayer for run and charge and or plus X to movement. We have to make sure we're not getting too close to what Daughters of Cain are. Because if you just shift everything 90 degrees to the left a little bit, the tiger side of it is starting to sound, playstyle-wise at least, a little bit like Daughters of Cain. Where you have Marathi on the table, you got some buffs, and then you have a bunch of run-and-charge ladies who just buzzsaw everything. Now, you know, it's not time to scrap it or rewrite stuff, but we just have to be aware that we don't want to step on too many toes for the armies that already exist thematically and playstyle-wise. I feel like the army-wide wound count thing and the prayers and what their abilities are, we can differentiate it enough, but it's good to know what to avoid, you know. It's good to see our pitfalls, you know, before they happen. Oh, I disconnected from the chat and I didn't see the last few messages. Sorry about that. We also need one garbage subfaction that all the lore is written on. Yeah, exactly. That'll be the one. So all the lore will be about the fourth one where you're not supposed to play any of the gods at all. And it's just, its rules are complete garbage. But in the story, they're like the best tribe or whatever, and they beat all the other ones, and they're so impressive.
Unbelievable!
Oh, I just heard a noise. What else is people saying? Gives it the feel of an ambush for Stir. Stir, that's a good idea because it plays off of the Rakshasa legends where they're, you know, they can naturally go invisible and you can't quite see. They can shape change a lot. So we could use that for them popping out of stuff. That is a good point. I'll put a note next to that. So maybe Rakshasa-inspired invisibility. The only thing is that's kind of close to Forgotten Nightmares for IDK. But, you know, mechanically, it doesn't have to have anything to do with shooting, and it could just be an explanation for a different mechanic. So, again, it's important to see where things could get too similar, and then we can see that right away and diverge, right? Oh, I think was there a sub that I missed? I don't think so. That might have been a follow. Tell me in the chat if it was, because I disconnected from the chat room briefly. Since the Dragon God Beast is all about magic, rather than unbinding, it could copy spells. You cast it, it can optionally cast that at the same time a few times a turn. I wonder. So is this like the Mirror Dragon? The God Beast of House of Glass Mirrors? The reason I don't like that is because it's an incredibly powerful effect if you're playing against Tzeentch or some big spellcaster army. It does literally nothing against armies that don't cast spells. And when you have an effect that's so powerful against some armies and does actual nothing against others, it's just hard to balance that and point that, right? It's sort of like having a unit that says, for every turn this unit's alive, roll a die. On a 6, choose a unit and the unit's dead. Like, what do you cost that? It probably never happens, but when it does, it ruins the game. So what do you do? I don't know. I like the idea of copying spells or doing something instead of unbinding. I like the starting point. But I think we got to go more proactive and less reactive based on what our opponent's doing. It's like having a spell that doubles CP cost table-wide. Yeah. Where it, you know, if your opponent doesn't really care about their command points, it doesn't do anything, but it's hugely toxic to play against. If you do. Luckily, you're playing techless, which means your build is kind of overpaying for a lot of what it's doing. If he was aggressively costed, that would be a very unfun list to play against. Horrible donated $25. Hey, thanks, man. Let me check out your message you wrote. Donating for the OBR stuff. All right, not bad. Well, as it happens, you're also added into the night hunt thing. So good luck on both counts, I say. What do the heroes do in this faction? Is there any special, interesting mechanical thing that would make sense for these people? What would their endless spells be? What would their terrain be? I think they shouldn't have terrain, because not everyone needs terrain, and these god beasts are going to be so huge, like that's your terrain, right? Not everybody needs a terrain piece and endless spells. Let's get, it's a decent formula to sometimes have, but you don't want it to get too predictable, right? They are the terrain, exactly. Oh, there are no heroes. The god beasts are that. That's an interesting idea, Urda Wanderer, an old supporter of mine. And just as I would expect from an old supporter of mine, you had a good idea. The only problem with that good idea is now you can't make a 1K army out of this army. That's the only problem with it. That might have to be a problem that we solve in some way. Given that the god beasts are tied to the realm, some sort of effect on the terrain, that could be neat. Yo, what if instead of having terrain, you get to decide what terrain effect the terrain has on the table? Is that too strong? A version of that probably isn't too strong, but is that too strong? Like, let's say you roll up to a game and you're playing Vassals of the God Beasts. And so before the game begins, you're rolling to see what effects all the terrain on the table has. And you just get to pick a certain amount of them. And say, this is commanding, this is whatever, like, after table sides are determined, let's make it really strong, right? After you know what side of the table you're on, you're like, this one's arcane next to me, this one's commanding next to my hero, that one over there blocks line of sight in front of your guys, and that one over there is the one that is -2 runs and charges. Like, that could be kind of cool. You roll a d6 or something and you determine, how many of them you want. Drew Peterson with the $4. Thanks, dude. What did you say? Let's make it a nice even number. Is it now a nice even number? 5350. Yeah, it's pretty even. It's pretty even. Well done. You can point their God Beast form to allow access to that. Well, because we're using a shared wound count, what if their wound table isn't so much how much damage they have taken, but simply how many current wounds your army has? And that's like the damage table. So if you play a 1K game, you're still fielding the God Beast, but you only have 20 guys or something. So the thing is powered down. It powers up and down for whatever size of game you're playing. So if you get your buddies together and you want an 8,000 point chaos game, then the God Beast is preposterously strong or something. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. That might be a way to solve it. Yeah, I'll make a note of that. Like that's an avenue we're putting that in the maybe pile. Maybe God Beast scale to game size in a manner due to the wound count of your army and the wounds table, so you could play them at 1K. And then, because I think it's rather charming, and maybe this is a danger when you're designing something, is doing something just because you can, because it's interesting on your side. And I think Mark Rosewater says, like, don't do this, and here we are doing it. But wouldn't it be cool if there was an army that had no heroes except for the God Beasts? And we're only doing it because that concept is sort of like charming, which is probably the wrong reason to do anything. But this is a Twitch marathon and we're not really building the army, so we're doing the fun thing. Duh. Scions of the God Beast. Yeah, there we go. That's finally the synonym I was looking for. Scions of the God Beasts. Yeah, because they gain power with the amount of worshippers they have, like our wound pool army wide count thing mechanic from earlier. Yeah, we're in the just do it because it's cool phase. Yeah, exactly. So we fixed that, and now we don't need an awful subfaction that doesn't run a god, because there's no point for it anymore. And there's no reason to create a subfaction that's just fucking trash, right? Like, just give the cool lore to the good ones, right? So that's cool. And so there's just no heroes. That's the subtext of the book. Like, that's the first sentence in the lore section, you know, right away. No kings or heroes, only gods. Like, that'll be good. That's a good one. We're building a faction to sell a required $150 miniature. Yeah, of course. Of course. You gotta make those dollary dues. Maybe you can't kill the God Beast. When you kill it, all its followers just freezes in the terrain or something. We're pushing 250. Oh no. I mean, look, the bean counters will figure out what to charge for this thing, depending on base size and how much plastic is in all of the EU. We'll see. Or maybe not all of the plastic in the EU if we're going to do a throwback to the Rob meme earlier in the show. So anyway, I don't think they have to like lose the game if the God Beast dies. I just think that they probably will, inevitably. Because either they've sacrificed enough worshippers to keep their God Beast at full life, or maybe even just alive. Because imagine a God Beast at like half life, and then you have 13 guys left, and it takes 10 damage, and those guys aren't on an objective. You kill them, and you know the God Beast is alive. And this thing is just table wide. This isn't nearby because they're gods. You know, they're getting their power from their worshippers directly. And since your army just has a wound count straight up and not necessarily per model, I'm gonna be so sad when I can't play a 6-armed Tiger Lady God Beast. I know, right? I'm already sad that I can't play this. These things would naturally be like really good at capturing and stuff, of course. Or rather, they wouldn't be really good at capturing, but we would design the rules in such a way so that they could play the game. I'll just put it that way. It doesn't have to be might makes right. It doesn't have to be large and in charge. It doesn't have to be always contesting, but it's got something to be like, hey, do we give them the ogre treatment? We don't, but we give them something else of equivalent value. I think. I like to keep fairly unique allegiance abilities fairly unique. You know, the counts for multiple wounds thing, that's a cool idea, but it should stay an ogre idea. I've seen a lot of people float the concept of like, oh, you know, all elite models should count for 2, you know, game wide and all sorts of stuff like that. And I understand their position. And I think that really would help a lot of the elite models become more playable than they currently are. But I would like to protect the uniqueness of armies for the most part. And so I would give these people some other rule that does a relative thing. Prayer to reduce the number of models enemy units count as having on an objective. Maybe. Gods could just control objectives. They're gods. It could just be that if they're near an objective, this is mine. I don't know. That might be too video gamey, though. What if you know that Slanesh ability that was the start of a good idea, but went nowhere and was horrible? And this is kind of what Erda Wander is saying, where I can't remember who it was. It might have been Epitome, might have been Shalaxi, where you're offered a choice. I think it's Shalaxi, where you're offered a choice, and the opponent like chooses one thing or another, and like the ability itself is fucking awful, but like the idea of offering your opponent a choice where there's 2 bad options is cool. Has Meph secretly gone to bed? I hope so. He was supposed to take a nap while I took over the show for a little while. That was the plan, so he doesn't die, you know. I don't know if he did, but like ideally that's what he is doing. It is a stream for mental health after all. You got to keep fresh. You got to drink your V8 juice, you know. I don't think it was a keeper weapon option. I think it was a special rule. You know what? I'm on the internet. Chat. When you're not sure, you look it up. Let's do it. Grand Alliance Chaos. He Knights of Slanesh. We're looking up what is actually the case because we want to be correct. We just want to be correct. I think it's Shalaxi Halbane. Let's see. I'll look at her war scroll right now. Irresistible Challenge. It's a Shalaxi Halbane ability, just as I thought. The master at work here. At the start of the enemy charge phase, you can pick 1 enemy hero within 12 of this model and more than 3 from any models from your army, and ask your opponent if they wish that hero to accept Shalaxi Halbane's challenge. If they refuse, the hero suffers D3 mortal wounds. Okay. But if they accept, the hero must attempt to charge and must finish the charge within a half inch of this model. In addition, if the challenge is accepted, any attacks the hero makes in the following combat phase must target this model. So either they charge her or they take D3 mortal wounds. That isn't as bad as I remember it being. It is sort of nothing, but I remember it being worse than that. I do remember the D3 mortal wounds part, though. Okay. Anyway, back from my fact-finding mission. Oh, I see. Horrible just copy and pasted it, and here I went looking it up. Okay, well, anyway. Oh, that's also a keeper weapon option. It's a different ability. Okay, this is the best outcome, so we were both right. Excellent. And that's why I was remembering it as being absolutely horrible, because the one you were thinking of was. Oh, best outcome, both right. But yeah, obviously that's terrible. Like, who would ever choose the other one? You want it to be a tempting choice. Slash is all about tempting. That is not a tempting choice. Anyway. Can the gods teleport anywhere in line of sight? Maybe not first turn. But if they aren't in X range of a follower, then they're much weaker or something like that. I get the closeness to the follower thing. But I feel like as a god, you're drawing power from people across the whole realm, possibly from multiple realms. What does it matter if somebody's 5 feet away from you or 20 feet away from you, you know? Are you trying to materialize your god? Do your gods not start on the battlefield and you're trying to summon them? And when you do, they just win the game for you? Like, that could be an alternative way of building the entire army. It's like Saitama in the fighting game about One Punch Man, which I think is a bad fighting game, but I can't remember. I'll probably ask Frank about it. He would know. My guess is that it's bad, but we'll see. Where their problem that they had to solve, and this is sort of a, you know, we're talking about design after all with making this army, is so there's this anime that isn't technically an anime, but it kind of is, called One Punch Man. And for those of you who don't know anything about him, about the anime, the elevator pitch is there's this superhero called One Punch Man, and he punches one time and he can beat anyone. And he beats everyone by punching them once. But this causes him to have somewhat of an existential crisis, and he's in a malaise of depression at all times because of this. And now you have to make a fighting game because they wanted to make a fighting game about this show. And so what do you do with a fighting game that has a guy who can beat anyone in a single punch? That's not fair. And fighting games are fun because they're fair, or at least there's a reasonable expectation of fairness. So what do? Well, the designers of that game, they solved the problem, arguably. Well, their solution to the problem was this. It's a tag team fighter. So if one of your 3 people that you choose is Saitama, you can't like switch to him. He's like running towards the battle because he's far away. And you have to basically stay alive with this awful, like, stupid hero that's on a bike and he just kind of sucks. You have to like stay alive for a certain amount of time until the Saitama is running towards the fight because he was shopping or something. Meter is full. And then when he gets there, he just kind of walks forward, and you can control him like a fighting game character, but he just like walks slowly forward. He's basically immune to everything, and he punches you one time and you can't block it and you just die. And so the gameplay mechanic is you need to beat the person's team, sans one person, or I think possibly 2 people. And if you can't do it in a certain amount of time, then Saitama just shows up and kills everyone. And I don't know if that's a good solution or not. I'd have to look into it. But a different way you could build this army is you're trying to summon the God Beast by doing various things, mechanics and allegiance abilities, and every prayer you successfully pray adds a point to the summon your God point, bundle or whatever. And then the God Beast arrives, and the thing is just like insanely overpowered in ways that are actually strong in the game instead of just like having a lot of wounds and doing a lot of damage. Like, for instance, the God shows up and whatever objective it is closest to is automatically captured and no one can capture from it. And, it starts converting the enemy forces to its side of the, blah, blah, blah. So, like, that's an alternative way that you could build an army like this, is to, have the God Beast show up and just kind of win the game for you. But that's probably unsatisfying in a variety of ways. First of all, you're not playing with the God Beast for the majority of the game, or probably for many games, because people might just beat you too soon. And it's kind of like playing an army that doesn't let you play with the God Beast, and that's no fun, right? Oh, thanks for the $25, Crazy Horse. Appreciate it. Missed your first alarm clock going off. No big deal, dude. No big deal. We still got 12 big minutes. for the God Beast faction. So anyway, I think that's a bad idea because, first of all, you're not playing with your cool god for most of the game. And if you lose right away, you're not playing with it for any of the game. And second of all, your opponent, if your opponent happens to not be on an Alpha Strike strategy, they probably just can't do anything and lose to this huge god that appears, on turn 3 or whatever. Or they have so many points by then, maybe you can't win. So anyway, there's a bunch of reasons why thematically that's a cool idea. But actually thinking about people playing it on the table, it's just kind of like bad feelings all around. And a lot of times fun is a zero-sum game, and that style of army would very much make it even more so, right? Yeah, and what if you never summon the God Beast because you just died? And that's no fun either. So for all of those reasons, on my One Punch Man tangent, I feel like it's a cool idea, but in practice, I don't think it would work. Anyway, back to actual version of the army. Let's see. This army would not have any command traits or artifacts, if truly it's an army that doesn't have heroes. Is that okay? Which would give us an extra 3 or 4 pages with which to put anything we want in the book. Essentially, you could have the gods be that much more powerful for their points because you're not getting any traits, you're not getting any artifacts, nor are you getting any other heroes who could take stuff like that. So you're kind of giving that up, I think we can explore the terrain thing. I think that was an interesting idea. Adaptations of the realms, see, like, you could have them from realms, and they should be, right? And you could come up with some very lore, thematic things like you always play in their realm, or all of the terrain on the table gains that realm's like ability on top of whatever it does. But the new realm abilities are so nothing, that it isn't even like feels nothing. It feels like nothing, It's cool, again, cool in theory, not in practice. Did someone say terrain? Yeah, we're talking about what kind of terrain abilities and or effects and or models this army might have. Feels like each army should have a shaman hero. Yeah, I agree. I think having an army that simply has 0 heroes except for the god beasts is one of those like cool in theory abilities that might not play out. Because it would be cool to have like radical eco-terrorist, half cat, half human shaman heroes and stuff. At least 1 per. Maybe the dragon has like this long bearded, wise counselor in robes, like a dragon man in robes, which would just look cool with a long beard and stuff. And he could be a unique character with a special name, the counselor or something. There's some interesting ways you could go with it. I'd have the units have terrain effects. That could work out. At least 1 per. I see what you did there, and I like it. What's the topic? You literally only just joined? Well, we made some memes in the first part of this block, and I did a little Photoshop tutorial, I guess, impromptu. And now we're just making chat makes a faction. Chat makes an army, a new army in AOS, and that's what we've done for the past hour and a half. Oh, Meph is back from the break. How you doing, man? Let me turn it back to push to talk mode so I'm not getting a vicious echo. So since some people have just joined now because they're filtering in to watch The Coach, I'll do a rundown of what we did. And a few people were asking about that because they're new as well, so I can get 2 birds with 1 stone here. Oh, thanks for the $5, 13 rolls. Appreciate it. Yeah, the Night Volt. Nice. Looks like we got 10, I think 10 donations plus a 20 in the block. Not bad. Not bad, chat. They can't hear Meth because your microphone isn't down.
Oh, there we go. Should be good now.
So for the first, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, we made some memes and I did a little Photoshop tutorial. And then chat made an army. And so we made a GA Destruction Scions of the God Beasts army, which is a bunch of human cultists and worshippers of 2 specific God Beasts that are like 800 point massive awesome gods.
Like
One
like
is
corn dragon, or like the size of the corn dragon.
not that big, more like the Seraphon one probably.
All right, right on. Dreadsaurian, sweet.
So God Beast A is a feminine Hindu-inspired tiger goddess.
Oh, cat girls. We made cat girls. Okay.
Hey,
Say no more.
you give chat what it wants.
It's true. We learned anything from this weekend.
They got huge tiger cavalry. The basic battle line is shared between both of the God Beast sub factions, or both of the God Beasts. You got one, and they're just like humans for the basic battle line. They're shared between both, and then you got elite battle line, and then half of them are cat girls, of course, and half of them are dragon people of some sort, and they look cool as well. You have Drake Rider cavalry and huge tiger cavalry for each of them respectively. The dragons shenanigan is deep striking because the dragons simply like dive bomb into the battle. Makes perfect sense. And the cats are like run and charge and or prayer for plus movement, like they're really fast or whatever. Also, side possibility, maybe a Rakshasa inspired invisibility to deep strike in. Could work.
Yeah, I like that.
The sub factions are God Beast A sub faction, where you're supposed to play it and you're choosing those units. God Beast B faction, where you're supposed to play that one and all their units. And then a sub faction where you actually are supposed to field both and have like 20 guys. That's the army. It's made for probably bigger point games, whatever. And then we were going to have a 4th sub faction, which was to not run one at all. And it was called the Trash faction, where all of the cool lore is for. Like in the lore, it's the best faction. It's got the shittiest rules. It forces you to play the worst models. There's no redeeming qualities for it. But we're like, maybe we should not do that, you know? Like
Yeah.
We've had too many meat fist mod tribes, you know, in the game, right? So, and to kind of evoke the spirit of the fact that these are gods that are gaining power from their worshippers and stuff, we have this crazy mechanic that might not pan out, but it was weird, of army-wide wound count. Like, you gain your units don't have wounds necessarily. They count for a certain amount of wounds, but it's not like printed on their war scrolls. So like your battle line adds 1, your elite battle line add 2, your cavalry add 5, etc. And that's just what the God Beast's wounds are. So if average army might have 120 wounds or something, that's the God Beast's wound total.
Ooh.
As the God Beast takes damage, you can either have it take damage and chart, or you can remove worshippers equal to that number of wounds anywhere on the table.
I love this because it's playing with the whole god notion, and it's different, interesting play that's not difficult math or inventing mechanics, because everyone knows wounds and removing models. You're just like shifting what that looks like. So this is the best way to do that, is take something that exists and be interesting.
And it's probably best to just have the God Beast get hurt, if I'm being honest, which is the least
Correct.
disruptive to gameplay way of it working. You know, like you want to be obliged to just have it work kind of normally. But in certain circumstances, if you got this stranded unit or this unit that's in a fight, it's just going to die anyway or something, or they're going to get charged next turn. Just kill them, you know?
Yeah.
Because of this mechanic, of course, there's no summoning because no.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and we're doing crazy enough stuff as it is. And floating around the idea, maybe do it, maybe don't, of there being 0 heroes in the entire army. It's just gods and men, no heroes, no kings, which is like quaint, but probably not worth it because you want cool like shaman heroes and advisors and stuff. And there you go. We've made a. Oh, and they another allegiance ability they may have is something like God beasts are really in tune with the realm and they control kind of the world, right, in some way and feed off of it. So after sides are determined, you can select what terrain features are for a certain amount of the terrain on the table.
Yeah, like half of it or
So like
some
you
amount lower than half.
once you choose your table side, you place the God Beast down first. And at that point, you roll a die or do something. And instead of roll a die, it's probably like roll a d3 and then various other things call back to that where you can add to it or whatever.
Yeah, you have a God Beast score. That's
you
just
can build your, sower of destiny or whatever. And you're like, okay, this terrain feature near my general, that's commanding. That one near my wizard, that's arcane. That one near your guy, sucks for you. That one near those guys, block line of sight, deal with it. And you don't have faction terrain instead, because not everybody needs faction terrain and endless spells. Don't want to get too formulaic now.
right.
And it feels powerful as a god, you're just like saying, this land does this landscape does this, I'm part of the earth, it's a strong kind of anyway. And some people have also suggested that if the god beast dies, you lose. But if the god beast dies due to the wound mechanic, it might be that your army is just tabled anyway. And so I'm willing to just say, if your god beast dies, you probably lose the game anyway. But it's a consideration, because really, you really do, like, if you think about it from a lore perspective, if your god dies, it probably doesn't matter that you didn't find out the secret plans in whatever the stupid battle plan is, right? Like, you're done. Your god's dead. It's over, right? I mean, you could also put some counter lore in there where the thing wakes up every so often if enough people believe and clap their hands, and whatever Peter Pan shit. Anyway, it's 4:01. I'm not going to intrude upon the coach who's waiting patiently in the Arcane Sanctuary. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to do the giveaway right now. And thanks for supporting the cause. I hope you enjoyed the show. Peace.